My name's Jay Esposito, and I'm Assistant Dean for Enrollment Management at Drexel Kline School of Law. We are so delighted to have you join us today for our discussion, putting the spotlight on inclusion initiatives here at Drexel Kline School of Law. So thank you so much for joining us today. Before we jump in, I just want to make one quick announcement, a reminder. Today is our November 15th application deadline. If you submit before midnight today, Eastern Time, you are guaranteed a decision by mid-January and to be among the first applicants considered for merit scholarship. If you want to apply after today, you absolutely can. Applications will continue to be accepted ongoing for months on end now. So you are by no means in a situation where you have to rush to get your application in today, but submitting by today does guarantee you a decision by mid-January. So if you have any questions about that whatsoever, feel free to toss your questions into the chat. Myself and my colleague, Anya Autry, who is on the call today. Can you say hi, Anya? Are you out there?
Hi, everyone.
Excellent. Thanks, Anya. Myself and Anya are going to be in the background of today's discussion, managing the Q&A and the chat feature. So please feel free to let us know if you have questions specific to today's conversation, and we'll send those questions out to our folks that are running the discussion, but also anything related to admissions, and we'll take care of those in the chat. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the microphone to our Dean for Diversity, Inclusion, and Student Life, Dean Danielle Boardley, who will introduce herself and our Diversity and Inclusion Committee members who are on the Zoom call with us today. Dean Boardley, take it away.
Thank you so much, Jay. I appreciate that. Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. It's such a pleasure to be able to share with you the initiatives that we have going on here at the Kline School of Law at Drexel. Before I get started, I just want to give you a roadmap for the conversation as we move forward. I'm going to do a brief presentation to give you some insights on the programming that we have going on through Dive In, is what we call our diversity and inclusion initiatives. And then I'm going to open it up to our Dive In Fellows, who are students that are on our Diversity and Inclusion Committee. They'll introduce themselves, they'll answer a few questions that I have prepared, and then we'd really love to hear what questions you have and learn the things that you would like to know as from the perspective of the students on the call. So that's how we'll kind of flow for the remainder of the webinar. So just briefly, about myself, I have been at the institution for quite some time, at the law school since the first year it was opened, and I have moved through different offices and worked with different constituents throughout my time, but have landed here in the DEI space, and using all that I've learned and all, working with the individuals that I've worked with over time to help our institution become a more inclusive and welcoming community. We will always have work to do moving forward. We would have never and can never arrive to the place of inclusive perfection. But I think as long as we keep ourselves accountable and work together, we can make some strides and really have an impact of positivity as we continue to go and grow. So the objective of the Dive In Committee, which consists of deans, faculty, staff, students, and alums, is to increase the community dialogue so that we are better prepared individually and as a community to address diversity and inclusion related concerns. That is our objective and something that we continuously work towards as a committee. We meet regularly and have these conversations amongst ourselves, and then kind of go out into the community with what we've shared, and then bring back from the community what we learned so that we can navigate the space of either initiatives or programming that helps us focus on the thoughts and ideas of our community members as a whole. Our mission is to foster a culture where all community members feel supported and diversity, equity, and inclusion are ingrained into everything we do. We are committed to creating opportunities for open dialogue, positive conversations, and collaboration between community members at every level. That is something that has been our mission from the start. And as long as we keep moving back to our mission, we can continue to move forward in a way that is intentional and has the impact that we are looking for. That desired impact is for us to establish a sense of belonging for everyone, not just our students, not just our faculty, not just our staff, but everyone at every level. And that's including those who work in the building who aren't associated with the academics of the law school. So ensuring that, when I walk in the building and Miss Marion, who is our security guard, that I greet her and make sure I check in on her and learn, how her weekend has gone or how her week has gone. Every person matters, and it doesn't matter what your title is. We want everyone to feel included in our space. So also empathic leadership is key. And that's not just me as the person with the title as it relates to diversity and inclusion. That's also every dean who is a part of administration, all of our administrators, all of our faculty, all of our students. All of us are leaders in this way. And being able to understand that there's a human being behind those roles and leading us forward in the sense of being able to allow those human beings to be themselves and operate in a way that helps them to navigate this space as themselves while they're doing the rigorous work that they do in the law school, I think is very important. A top-down approach isn't enough, so it can't just be our dean said DEI is important and that's that, right? It has to be top down, bottom up, middle out. Like every individual needs to buy into the idea that DEI is important. And inclusion is ongoing. It's not just we've had a program, we did it. No, we have to continue forward in understanding all of the things that are important to us individually, learn our difference, appreciate those differences, and being accepting of those differences. We don't always have to agree, and in a place where disagreement is something that you're learning how to do. How do you learn to disagree with an argument on the other side? That is a natural thing. So it's not about agreeing, it's about belonging, and that's what's important. So during a climate survey that we had a couple of years ago, we learned that our students in overwhelming numbers wanted to have our community create more programming supported by the law school. There was a time that the only programming that came forward as it relates to anybody's, you know, diversity dimensions or inclusion related were just being done by our students. And our students were saying, we want to know that the school also cares about these things. So they were looking for more initiatives by being school led. So presenting quality programming has been our focus, and it shifts over time and it evolves as our community evolves. We have dive-in days, which are days dedicated to diversity and inclusion efforts and programming. We also have ARC sessions, which are anti-racism conversations, and that allows us from our lens to talk about topics that are brought forward from our students and our student organizations. They select the topics and we all talk about them as a community. And the few photos here are from years ago, but the top left was an event that we used to have every summer, and we kind of still do an iteration of this, where right before the school year starts, we come together and have a little barbecue. The second photo to the right is it was a community roundtable event where we did what we do now, which is a new iteration of this through our anti-racism conversations. We ask the hard questions and get those conversations going. And then the bottom photo was an event related to diversity and inclusion in higher education. And there pictured is Kim Utcherson, who was the co-dean at Rutgers. Our previous provost is in the middle, and then our dean of the law school, Dan Filler, is on the right. So we have these conversations with our students, with the community, and with our leadership. Here's a more recent image of those anti-racism conversations that I mentioned. It's an initiative that was started by a student a couple of years ago who came to me and asked me what we could do about having these type of conversations. And we decided that we would do this together, dive in our SBA. And it gives our attendees a chance to do a self-examination and exercise their analytical skills as applies to our own community. And due to the systemic inequality and inequity in the legal system, it's the duty of these future legal professionals to educate and improve themselves. So we kind of try to start that the way that we can make impact and have every voice heard, but also giving almost um a roadmap to our students on how they can initiate and have these conversations as they move forward is something that we're hoping is a benefit of these conversations as we go through our community. I'm going to stop sharing here. That is the formal part of the presentation. And now I'd like to have our dive-in fellows introduce themselves. They'll start with their name and their associated pronouns, the area of law you're interested in, also your year in law school, and the reason you chose Drexel, really briefly. We'll start there and then I'll have some other questions related. I'll call your names just to make it easy because I don't know if everybody's boxes are the same to go around. So we'll start with Emily because you're right next to me.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily. My pronouns are she, her. I'm not too sure what I'm interested in terms of law, but right now I've been interested in insurance defense litigation, so we'll see about that, but I'm very open. Something that kind of drew me to Drexel is I'm not originally from the Philadelphia area or even the East Coast, so coming to Drexel, I was hoping to find a home away from home, and I truly feel that at Drexel, and I still feel that to this day. It is my home, and I love it so much.
Thank you for that, Emily. Then Matt, please.
Hey everyone, I'm Matt. My pronouns are he, him. I am a 3L here at Drexel. Um, and right now, similar to Emily, I'm not too sure what I want to practice, but I'm leaning towards taking a more transactional route. And as for what drew me to Drexel, I could talk all day about the community here at the law school. The community here at the law school is one in which faculty and students really look out for one another. And that really stood out to me in making my decision because I wanted to go through this process with a supportive community, and I'm grateful that I found that in the law school.
Thanks, Matt. Sienna.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sienna. I'm a 2L. I use she, her pronouns. Um, for me, I'm currently interested in health law, more specifically food and drug law, given my background in nutrition. Um, but one of the reasons that I chose Drexel, again, it's going to be similar to both Emily and Matt. I'm from out of state. I wanted to find a supportive and welcoming community, and I do believe they found that here. But I also really, really enjoyed the fact that they prioritize experiential learning and discussion. Everything was just what I could have asked for. So
Cody.
Hi, everybody. My name is Cody. I'm a 3L. I will be practicing in a corporate transactional practice group after graduation. I'm not sure that that's what I'm going to be interested in forever, but that's what I'm interested in for now. Um, we're not getting paid to say this, but I think I also chose Drexel because of the community. I remember going to law school tours, and I'm from Philly, so I wanted to stay in Philly and just seeing the differences between um, what my tour guides were talking to me about. And I remember that my tour guide at Drexel told me that it was really a community where people would listen to you, even if they didn't agree with you, but they would listen. And to me, that's really important, especially when you're talking about things that can be kind of controversial. So I think that's been true. And that's why I went to Drexel.
Thank you, Cody. Tim.
Hi everyone, my name is Tim. I'm a 2L and I'm primarily interested in soft IP law, so copyright and trademark law. A little bit of interest in bankruptcy, but still very open to different areas of law. In terms of why I chose Drexel, it's a combination of everything that has been said. I'm not from this area, I'm from Texas, and I knew that I wanted to go to a school that was welcoming and inclusive and prioritizes DE&I, especially now more than ever. I think it's important that I was attending a school in a community that supports who I am as an individual, as someone who is Asian, queer, and first generation. I know that I wanted to be accepted for who I was and be apologetically myself, and I've been able to do it since I've gone here. As well as I got a very good scholarship from Drexel, and also the location and the class size are all the reasons why I ended up choosing Drexel for law school.
Thanks, Tim. Tiffany.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tiffany, she, her pronouns. I am interested in the general litigation area, civil or criminal, I'm not really sure. I have an interest in both. Not to beat a dead horse, but basically chose Drexel for the same reason. Community, small, supportive. I was visiting schools and I visited Drexel, and from the professor whose class I sat in on to the security officer at the front desk, admissions, everyone was just very supportive. And I come from a big family, and that's what it just basically feels like, a big welcoming family. And yeah, that's why I chose Drexel.
Thank you all for that. So I'm just going to dive into some of the questions that I have prepared, and I see that there's one question in Q&A, and I'll get to that. But anyone else that has questions that's on the call, please feel free to put them in the Q&A so that we can be prepared to answer them for you. But I'd like to open it up to everyone, all of our dive-in fellows to start. Which student organizations do you represent? Because we know that's a part of helping us feel like we're connected and belong in the community. And what's something that org has accomplished that you're proud of or plans to achieve, and you're excited about that? And feel free to mention maybe orgs that aren't represented on the call, just to give a sense of what type of orgs are available to the community. And I'll just open that up to anyone who'd like to answer.
I can start. I guess I represent BOLSA, which is our Black Law Student Association. I'm sure Tiffany will have a lot more good things to say about that. I also represent the Student Bar Association, which Tim also participates in, which is essentially our student government. I was also a participant in Law Review, which is the academic journal of the school. And I'm also on the diving committee, which is why we're all here. So those are all of my things. I think that something that I'm proud of is I got the opportunity to write an academic article through Law Review, and I was selected to be published. So that's really exciting. But I think that it was a really unique opportunity because I would have never otherwise explored the topic that I decided to learn about. And now that's definitely fueling how I want to see my future career going.
Thank you. Who else like to share?
I can share since Cody mentioned me. I'm also in the Student Bar Association. I'm the diversity chair. So I coordinate with Dean Bordley to host the ARC sessions that she was just mentioning. I'm also the president of ALPALSA, which is the Asian Pacific American Law Student Association. I'm also in Law Review and in the Membership and Inclusion Committee on Law Review, and as well as the diving committee. And something I'm proud of is that through all these orgs, I have had many opportunities to advocate for DE&I issues, especially in Law Review, which is historically, more competitive or harder for students of underrepresented backgrounds to get into. Drexel Law Review has taken a lot of steps in recognizing that, and we've implemented a lot of trainings as well as just being more cognizant of biases throughout the application process for the Law Review as well, and that's something I'm pretty proud of.
Thanks.
I can go. While I'm also a dive-in fellow, I am also representing Outlaw, which is the LGBTQ student organization here at Drexel. I am actually president of the organization, and I'm very, very proud to share that we are very forward in our pro bono opportunities and giving back to our community. We're actually currently operating a clinic today, so it caught me at a perfect time. So that's something I'm really, really proud of because that's something I prioritize. I want to prioritize public service in my time in law school and continue to give back as I go into the workforce. I'm also a part of our Women's Law Society and also a member of our If, When, How organization, which is an organization for reproductive justice. I'm also on our ADR team, which is Alternative Dispute Resolution, which I will also be competing in the spring that I'm also very excited for.
Excellent. Tiana, talk a little bit more about the clinic, like what the clinic is doing.
So absolutely. For our clinic, it is a pro bono name change clinic. So we reach out to the surrounding Philadelphia and Pennsylvania areas to allow, it could be LGBTQ students or just members of the community to come in. We file name change petitions for them, we fill them out, and we are operating under a supervising attorney. And over that time, after we fill it out, we allow them to go ahead and get this process done for free. It's also because it is pro bono, but also we do offer fingerprints as well, which typically costs around $25. So all of this is offered completely free of charge, and we're able to, all of the students and participants of Outlaw are able to help fill out these name change petitions and get them all sent on their way.
Thank you. It's amazing work. I'm going to dive into the next question for Matt. What supports have been the most useful for you inside and outside of the classroom?
Yeah. Again, we're not being paid for this, but going back to the great community that we have here, in terms of resources that have been available, especially throughout my law school journey. A brief background about myself is I took 2 years off before coming into law school. And so jumping back into the routine of school was a bit difficult, and figuring out study habits and what necessarily worked for me and getting back into the groove of things. Very much thankful for the community here at Drexel because I had professors that I could lean into and ask for their support. And those that held me accountable were like, your study habits from undergrad, just, short and simple, aren't going to work here. And they were very personable and able and willing to have those conversations with me. So being able to have a community and professors that are willing to have those hard conversations with you. Also, the law school, we also have our own form of TAs, being dean scholars, who are there to assist law students during that first year of law school, in all the main courses like property, crim law, was very helpful as well. And Drexel also offers the supplements that all students would have access to that I found really helpful in trying to grasp and learn the material. So all of those combined really helped me transition easier in my first year of law school. Being able to talk to professors and professors to recognize when I was struggling, because they were able to point me out in the classroom and I wasn't just a number to them, really, really stuck with me. And for that reason, I'm really grateful to be at Drexel.
Thanks for that, Matt. Tiffany, we mentioned, I don't know if we mentioned that you are a JD, which is an accelerated JD student. How was your transition from undergrad into now an accelerated AJD program as a non-traditional student?
For me, it was, well, I'm a non-traditional student going into undergrad as well. And I have a family. So with undergrad, it was just to campus, go to class and go home. I knew that with law school, I wanted to take advantage of, I wanted to be on campus more. I wanted to socialize more. I wanted to network more, take advantage of the resources and things more than just go to class. And the accelerated program allowed me to still do that while getting back to my family quicker. The accelerated program is very rigorous, I will say that, but it's what you make of it. But it was different. I would say different. It was different transitioning, going from just, being the older individual on campus and going to class and going home to actually now being engulfed with the other students as well. And in law school, I'm not the only oldest person here because everyone has had other careers and things like that. And then I also think working prior to law school and being a non-traditional student allowed me to incorporate the rigorous study of the program into my schedule a lot easier, and it doesn't overwhelm me as much as some of my classmates might. It was new for them trying to get adjusted to the workload and things like that. With me, I'm not saying it was 100% easy, but it was just it was a little bit more doable. But it happens fast. The transition happens fast. I will say that.
Thank you for that. Cody, what is PDLG and what can people do to get familiar with it now?
So PDLG is the Philadelphia Diversity Law Group, which is I'm not sure if they're a nonprofit or just a group of nice people, but they work really hard to get diverse students placed into law firms during their first summer. And they also offer additional programming for students who are applying to law schools and have recently been admitted to law schools as well to help to bridge the pipeline for diverse students making it into law firm careers. They also place people in-house at different organizations, which is a really awesome opportunity because not a lot of people get to do that, especially not before graduating, which in-house just means working actually in a corporate legal department and not in a law firm. I will put the link in the chat if you want to take a look at this. I think that it was a very helpful program to participate in, especially with just I'm now going into big law, and I don't think I would have had such a smooth transition if I did not participate in the PDLG program. So I really recommend looking into that and getting involved early.
Thank you for that, Cody. Let's see. Tim, I know we talked a little bit about ARC, but share with us the benefits that you've pulled from ARC and maybe others that you talked to about ARC and how it reflects within the community.
Yeah, so just to give a brief overview of what it is, different student organizations, either by themselves or partnering with other student organizations, bring forth a topic idea, something that relates to the issue of race and racial inequality in our country. It doesn't always have to relate to the law, but most of the times there will be some relation to the law. And the topics range a lot. Like we just had one with If When How, the reproductive justice law student organization, discussing about abortion rights as well as just reproductive rights in general. And then just a few weeks ago, we had one about sorry, I'm blanking, but we had a lot of different ones. So I guess I just can't choose one because I'm thinking about so many. But we will have one with Alpulsa next Monday, and it will be about mental health in non-Western families and how it's usually stigmatized and what we can do to solve those issues. So the topics vary, and something that I get out of it and something that I've heard a lot of other students enjoy about it too is just hearing diverse perspectives. Like Dean Borley said, we all have our own lens. Like I have my own lens as someone who grew up in my shoes. Like although I do identify as Asian and queer, I don't speak on behalf of my community. And this is something Dean Bordley always emphasizes in the conversations. So it's just very nice to hear all the different perspectives and how different individual unique experiences have contributed to people's understandings of certain issues, and also just being more open-minded. After these conversations, I always find myself thinking about what else I can do to help and how I've really isolated myself sometimes for certain issues, not really considering alternative viewpoints. And that's something that I found very beneficial with these conversations.
Thanks for that, Tim. Sienna, how has being on the diving committee helped shape how you navigate the community?
This is a good question. So being on the diving committee has really encouraged me to be more intentional with my involvement within the community. And what I mean by intentional is, as we've established, Drexel and Dive-In have really taken the time and effort to foster an environment that prioritizes inclusion and open discussion. So during that, I found myself seeking out these opportunities more to learn from diverse perspectives and really be more mindful in my engagement when I'm in these spaces, to know what I'm going to take out of it and what's going to help me in the future just to be more welcoming, more inclusive, and overall just a better communicator and person.
Thanks for that. That's all I can ask for. Emily, I know this question that I have for you is kind of related to pre-law school, but I think that's kind of what our audience is thinking about now. So what's one thing you wish you would have known before entering law school?
Yeah, I think I had to think on this one because I think there's so many things that I wish I knew. But I think the main one that I wish I knew before coming to law school is how important time management skills are, not just academically, because I think academically that comes to you naturally in terms of kind of figuring how you know you best. But I think in terms of time management, learning how to prioritize yourself and learning how to not let go of the things that make you an individual and your hobbies and things like that. I feel like I lost those in my first year, and I'm starting to pick those back up and learning that sometimes it's okay to not study, or it's okay to not be reading those cases, and it's okay to read a leisure book, go for a walk, and things like that really keeps you sane, I think, in law school. And I forgot that before coming.
Definitely trying to make sure you ensure that you have balance and that you don't forget who you are through this process. 'Cause you got to make it out to the other end. So I see a couple of questions that are in the chat and the Q&A. I'll go to the Q&A one first, and it asks about the pipeline program and how to apply for it. And I'll answer this question, but the students who've been involved in either being on a panel or a mentor, I'd love for you to chime in regarding, your experience with the pipeline program. So the pipeline program is an initiative that I started in 2019 when I worked in admissions, and it has grown and flourished ever since. We open it up to individuals from underrepresented backgrounds, anyone who has experienced any hardships or just really wants to learn what law school looks like. It's a 3-week program. It is mostly online, and it's from 9 to 12 in the last 3 weeks of last 3 weeks of July. And on Thursdays, I have an optional in-person day, which allows you to come and visit campus. You take a tour, sit in on a class. We've also gone to judges' chambers. We've gone to law firms. And then we have a pre-law diversity day in the last week that is in person as well. But during the week, you are learning from law professors on varying topics. We have um, some faculty who come in and talk about their specific scholarship. We have a consistent course throughout called Law 101, which gives you the opportunity to feel like a law student. I send you textbooks so that you can read from the text. You're cold called, you're briefing cases, and learning really what it's like to be a law student. And we even do a little mini law school exam at the end, just so you can have a sense. I believe that the more exposure you have to something, the more likely you are going to feel more connected to it and have a little bit less anxiety when you sit for it. So my hope is to get people integrated into what that feels like. So when you actually do it, it's you are no longer blind in that process. And we also connect you with a mentor. It could be a law student, it could be an alum, it could be a friend of Kline, is like someone who's not associated with the law school, but has asked to be a part and wants to help, who is an attorney, or it could be a faculty member as well. And we offer tons of resources during the process. You get LSAT prep, you connect with the cohort. I think that's one of the most beautiful things about it, is connecting with the individuals who are like-minded in your cohort, learning from each other, sticking together as you're preparing for the process. I will note this: it is only open to individuals who have not been admitted to law school already. So it's not like a program that kind of helps you prepare in that way. It helps you to see if law school is the next step for you. So if come next summer you've already been admitted into law school, we can talk about other ways that I can support you, but the pipeline program is for individuals who are not yet who have not yet applied, because the hope is that we can help support you with your application through the process so that your chances of success for admission are supported, and it's more helpful in that regard. And the application opens each year on April 1st. There's nothing to do until then. Of course, learning more information that you can find on our website is fine. I can connect you with previous individuals who've been through the pipeline program, but the application opens on April 1st each year. I'd like to hear from anyone who's been a mentor through the program. I'm trying to think, maybe, has anyone on the call been a mentor for the okay, yes. So if you can share maybe your insights about how connecting with your mentee was through the program.
It's nice to see that you can be helpful, especially when you're still actively a law student and it doesn't feel like you finished anything yet. You kind of get to reflect on how far you've come when you see all of the questions that you really can help to answer. I think that it's really a great opportunity to have someone who's been through the process who can kind of just give you the heads up about some of the things that you might not be thinking about while you're preparing that could better set you up for success. So I think that even if you are not a participant in the pipeline program or have already applied, it's never too late to try to connect with someone who's been through the process, to just have someone to reflect with and talk to about those things, because I think it's really helpful to get sometimes another set of eyes on different situations.
Mhm.
For,
Thank
for me, I will say, like Cody said, it was nice to be able to give back and to help and like, oh, I can answer that question for that person, you know. But Team Portly does a really good job with pairing you up with your mentees, and so it's nice to have someone that you have something in common with that you can discuss, because I didn't have that when I was coming into law school. Unfortunately, I wasn't part of the pipeline program. So it's nice to be able to give back and to be able to communicate with someone who you have things in common with and tell them about your experience and know that you're making an impact on their decision to come to law school or to come to Drexel, which is the best law school.
Yes, nice little plug. Thank you for that too.
And I'll hop in if you don't mind, Dean Bordley, just to
Yes.
say from the admissions perspective. So with the pipeline folks, all of our team members on admissions meet one-on-one with everybody that's in the pipeline to do a one-on-one discussion about personal statements. And we actually did several with each student so that they could show us some samples of how they were crafting their personal statement. We could give them some ideas, some thoughts, try to steer them in one way direction or another. And to just make sure that they have all of our contact information so that well beyond the pipeline program, they can still come back and get in touch with us with any questions that they have throughout the admissions experience. So there's that as well that comes along with being in the pipeline program.
Thanks for that, Jay. Yeah,
Of
having
course.
that support. Having that support is ideal, and being able to have insight from the admission, like the people who make the decisions early on before your application goes through, is exactly what, I think has been beneficial to our cohort year after year. And just a little bit of data. I don't have all the data in front of me. I could pull it up real quick, but just from the first cohort, I'll just start with them, which was only 9 students. It was my smallest cohort because I was learning how to make this thing work. 5 of them went on to law school. 4 of them successfully graduated from law school, and all 4 of them successfully passed the bar. So it's like, just 2019 was the first year we had it. The others are doing other successful things. They decided law school was not the next step for them at this time. They went on to graduate school, went on to work, but having nearly half of the group go on to do, or no, more than half of the group go on to do what they set out to do through the program and be successful at it has been an amazing feat. And year after year, as students go through the program, I continue to get great news about what's moving ahead for them in their lives. So that's always exciting. There was a question that came through the chat about how the Drexel's Law School has ensured a diverse student body after the Supreme Court ruled race-based affirmative action unconstitutional. One thing I'll chime in, and anyone on the call, of course, can make a point here, is what I think is important is to continue to be attractive to people from underrepresented backgrounds. So all of the effort that, Jay and his team and, the rest of us in the community do to ensure when individuals come on tour that they stop by my office and they see the work that we're doing, that they stop by and say hello to students who are, who represent everyone who's on this call, even when they pass by and they see this is a community of individuals who care about inclusion and belonging and are actively doing things to ensure that if you're in our space, you belong here. And I think that makes the difference. Being able to that has always been the goal, I think, to draw in applicants who want to be a part of our community and ensuring that application pool is diverse in the way, but that's the work that gets done before people apply. Because we can no longer see, who those individuals are, their diversity dimensions in that way, the work has already been done in the recruitment process. So we would hope to know that our applicant body is a diverse body, and we look at, your interests, we look at the grit that the things that you did to be able to accomplish the things that you accomplished. You are a whole person. I happen to be an amazing individual who is also Black, right? So the things that you present in your application, and that's something that we work on through the pipeline program, shows you as a whole person. And we want your whole person to show up in the application so that we can identify the things that we would love to see in our community. And you happen to be, enter your diversity dimension here. So that's my thought about it. And I open it up to anyone else who would like to share your ideas about that.
Yeah, happy to jump in. I echo everything that Dean Bordley said, and I'll just say that we went out of our way to add as many questions to the application that we're allowed to ask. So the Supreme Court limited our ability to be able to view race and ethnicity through your application. So you're still going to provide that information. We simply cannot see it on the admission side until after you've already enrolled and started your classes, right? So we won't see it in the application, but we've added a bunch of questions to try to give us a whole larger sense of diversity across our entire pool. So for example, now we are asking very specifically, do you identify as a first-generation college student? Are you a first-generation law student? So are you the first person in your family to attend a law school? We ask you for high school information, and this was not something we were asking before, but it gives us a better sense of where students are coming from within the country, as opposed to their college that they attended, right? So maybe where they grew up. We ask about pipeline program participation. If you were in something like our Scheller pipeline program, right, at another school. We ask for languages spoken in the household. We ask for military status, LGBTQIA status, gender identity. There's just a slew of questions that we're asking to try to get to as much diverse populations as possible, right? We also encourage you in your essays to tell us anything that you want to tell us, right? So there are lots of students that are using the optional essays, the personal statement, like Dean Bordley said, to tell us their story, tell us who they are. We want to hear those things. You are not prevented from being able to tell us your story due to the changes that have occurred from the Supreme Court that came down to us last year. So we encourage you to tell us everything that you can about you through the application process.
So when asked as a non-traditional student what the age range of students is and what type of support systems do we have for those non-traditional, more seasoned students that are 40 plus years old, I can say that there is the age range varies, especially in our accelerated program. That tends to be more of our non-traditional cohort tend to be in that program because they have an idea of what they want to do moving forward. As Tiffany mentioned, want to get back to their families quicker. So that's something they are able to see and motivates them through that program. But I want to check in with Tiffany specifically about what you feel like the supports are as a non-traditional student and maybe other supports that your peers have found to be helpful in the 880 program.
Yes, overall, I think the faculty and staff is a great support system. And I only not say that they genuinely want you to succeed. They will make the connections, point you in the correct direction, provide mentorship. And these are, practicing attorneys that previously practiced, and they have really good information. For me, being a non-traditional, being an older student, being a single parent, being retired military, being disabled, like I have had immaculate support between all the deans, the faculty. Drexel, you convey something to them, whether it's a problem that you're having or something's going on or something outside of school in your personal life. In my experience and the individuals that I'm friends with at Drexel, they will go out their way to try and to rectify it or to provide support to you and your family, how it can work. We had a pie auction. My son came and like he loved it. It actually encouraged him to go to college, but he just met everyone. Like I said, it's a very family environment. When I've been ill, it's just very, very supportive. All the supports that's there, they go out their way to try and fix it. no school is perfect. No one is perfect. So no school is going to come without issues, but every issue or anything that I've brought to the attention of the administrative staff or the deans or something like that, like a discussion has been opened up or has gone higher. And I think for me, that's important, especially coming from the military, with having to have things in place where solutions can be formed, and that's important to me. So
Thanks for that, Tiffany. Another question came in the chat regarding neurodiversity and how the school accommodates students who are neurodiverse. And the university has an Office of Disability Resources that our students who may have a particular need would work through the ODR, I'll shorten that, ODR, to be able to get the accommodations that they may need for class. So you work kind of privately with ODR, then ODR sends that information, your need for accommodation, to our registrar who's within the law school, and the information that can be provided to your faculty members, they'll also share that information with them too. With that, it allows you to the resources that you may need, if it's a accommodation in time for exams or other, deadlines and things of that nature. They kind of provide the information to the law school so that we can be sure to accommodate you in the way that you need. So students also come to me to talk to me about some of the things that they might need that falls outside of ODR that might be helpful, and they would be more comfortable either running it through me first so that they can talk to faculty, or sharing with me, and I can holistically talk to faculty about how this is something that is impacting our community and how we can be better at being supportive of those who have a particular need. So there's different ways that we kind of approach students who have a difference in that regard. Any other questions? Is there anything that the Diamond Fellows would like to share as kind of a moment of reflection, or something, a key takeaway that you'd like our audience members to have with them as they are going through the process of figuring out their next steps for law school?
I think my advice is to never count your own self out and to just apply. You really, in law school teaches you that you really never know. So you just have to apply, 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 and not give up on your own self and just keep going, because what's meant for you is going to happen. So just sticking in there and not counting yourself out. Don't ever tell yourself no.
I'm gonna piggyback off of what Cody says, and to also voice that, um, you know, imposter syndrome. Like, it's very much something that I've dealt with personally, and a lot of other people deal with. But these are spaces that you all belong in. You are all worthy of being in these spaces, and you all can succeed in these spaces. And with that being said, shoot your shot, apply, 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 and just go for it.
I will say law school is hard. And again, to hop on what Matt and Cody said, you are your own best advocate. Don't give up. Keep fighting, whether it's to get in law school, and then once you're there, obstacles come up. Keep fighting to overcome those obstacles. It's hard work, but it'll be worth it. It'll definitely be worth it in the end.
Yeah, I echo what everyone has said. Don't doubt yourself. I think, growing up, like I said, I know my parents both don't have college degrees. They are both refugees, and I had no lawyers in my life that I could talk to throughout this process. And, I did have a lot of imposter syndrome, but, it's always about never giving up on hope and believing in yourself. And I always tell people, like, if I'm where I am now, then you can do it too, because I'm, just like everyone else. So, I really believe in everyone on this call, and I'm sure y'all go off and do great things, whether that be in law school or not.
I would say, again, I'm going to echo pretty much everyone, but I'm also going to say, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to communicate. Again, like Tiffany said, you are your own best advocate. And going into this, if you continue to communicate and advocate for yourself, it's only going to develop your skills further. And it's just a wonderful takeaway, because everyone does deserve to be here, and they do deserve to learn and educate themselves on every facet. So I think it's just really important to be open, listen, but also communicate your needs as well.
I would also echo everyone else's words. I think that being able to believe in yourself and waking up with a very positive mindset, I know that's easier said than done, but being able to do that and kind of looking in the mirror and saying you can do it really does kind of like help you, throughout the day. It's like his power stance, standing there like your Superman stance and saying you can do it because you can do it. And we all know that you will.
Absolutely. Thank you all for that. There's one final question in the chat, and I think this is a great way to kind of end it out regarding mental health support. And knowing that law school is difficult, and the person wants to know if the school offers student support in that aspect. We have a couple of different ways that we approach this as well. The university does have counseling services that is available to all students. That's one. The law school connects with Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers, and if someone from Dive-In Fellows don't, if you can throw that link in the chat too, so people can learn a little bit more about that. But they come and speak with our students each year and discuss the resources that are available to our students, even though the title is Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers, it's also for law students. So being able to have another avenue for assistance as it relates to if it's substance abuse issues, mental health concerns, all things related that might need counseling or therapy, they provide resources for that too. We do have a mental health law society, which is a student organization that does events and programming and brings people in to have discussions and just helps us rally together to be balanced in all of our mental health and well-being. And being able to lean into the community, whether that be other students or administrators, faculty, and staff, and knowing that there is no judgment as it relates to anything that you may be dealing with. And we are all here to support one another in a way that allows us to know that we belong, know that we can do it, and know that even in the difficult challenge of getting through law school, we're better together in the sense of, leaning in to make sure that what our needs are being met. And one of those basic Maslow needs is just have a sense of connection and belonging. So thank you so very much for all of your questions and all of your engagement throughout today. We appreciate your time and attention. If our Dive-In Fellows, whatever means of contact you would like to share with our audience members, if you can throw that in the chat. And Tiffany, you had something you wanted to share.
Yes, I just wanted to let anyone know the Lawyers Concerned with Lawyers has a confidentiality and an anonymity component to it, and you also don't have to worry about it affecting your character and fitness prior to applying for admission to the bar.
Thank you for that. That is important. I know sometimes people get worried about, well, if I talk to something that has lawyers in the title, I might get in trouble in the future, but they do have that confidentiality component. That is super helpful. All right. Any last items to discuss, Jay?
Can I do just a super quick plug? Yes, please.
Yes.
So I threw it in the chat for everybody. You'll see the link there, but if you would like to come and meet with any of our students, come in for a tour, sit in on a law school class. I cannot emphasize how important that is, and that what a wonderful just ability to be able to do that, right? As a prospective student, come and sit in on a class. If you can't make it to Philadelphia, sign up for a virtual Zoom call where you can meet with students on Zoom and ask them any questions that you have about the community. So that's all on our Visit Us page. And of course, just a very quick and heartfelt thank you to Dean Boardley, to our Diversity and Inclusion Committee for being here with us today. You all are so inspiring. We are so happy to have you be a part of our community. And just thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us, Jay.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for attending today. We really appreciate it. Take care, reach out. I put the contact information for the admissions office in there as well, and you can see the Dive-In students have been putting their email addresses in there as well. So cut and paste those, put them aside, keep them. We look forward to hearing from you, and we can't wait to see your application. Thanks, everybody.